That's what I like to hear. So, thank you again for being here. Relax, take a deep breath, and enjoy the CFCArts Big Band production of Hand-Drawn Jazz.
All right, let's try something else. From the top. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you so much. Did you recognize all 8 of those? We're trying to make sure there was a range of eras. I know for me, Saturday morning cartoons, I was raised on that stuff. And as funny as it may sound, you could probably trace my love for music, both jazz and classical, to animation. You could draw a direct line to me wanting to be a conductor with an orchestra, to Elmer Fudd and Bugs Bunny doing the Barber of Seville. Like, there's a direct line there. And so much of animation leans into the playful, the fun, the sort of improvised, energetic nature of jazz music. The rhythms, the syncopation, the color choices. There's a lot of parallel there. And this is what we're going to be talking about all day today. We're going to be experiencing more places where animators, artists, storytellers have decided that the right way to make their story work is to pair it with the incredible music of some jazz musicians. So most of you had a chance to meet Mr. Jason Zucker earlier, but please give a big round of applause and welcome to Jason. Jason's gonna have some fun with us. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, so Jason,
I felt like I was just here.
Yeah, I feel like you just did this.
Animation has nothing to do with music. Who we kidding?
Not at all. So, for you, when did you fall in love with animation? When did you discover you wanted to draw? That this was a language you loved?
Well, I'm in agreement with you on Saturday morning cartoons. I was a child of the 70s and 80s, and that was our thing. Saturday mornings, we had to wait. You know, when I hear these themes of all the shows that I watched, especially the Batman and Spider-Man and all of that, you know, I pictured myself, you know, with my big bowl of Fruity Pebbles in front of the TV and just wanting to draw these characters.
I was a Cocoa Puffs kind of guy.
Cocoa Puffs, yeah.
That's all.
I don't know, big bowl of Fruity Pebbles. Lots of bowls of Fruity Pebbles. But no, I'm agreeing with you. That's really where my love started, just watching the television. And, you know, for us children of the 80s, I mean, we had the best cartoons.
We did.
Now it's so hard to choose with so many streaming channels and everything. It's like there's so much out there. But, I mean, everything from Looney Tunes to Disney to the Smurfs and Transform. I mean, they were all there.
Smurf. Why didn't we think about that before?
Next time.
Smurfs. Okay, that'll be in the sequel.
Next time.
I got a song for next year.
That was my initial spark of learning how to draw these characters, and I wanted to do animation. I wanted to see on the screen. And when I found out you could actually get a job doing it, making a living, I'm like, yeah.
I feel the same way about this.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my father said, well, that's good. Go for art. Just have something back up, like welding or something. Just, you know. But
Did you choose welding?
I didn't. No.
Okay. Because if you could weld the animated characters, man,
it was either that or being a conductor, and I have no musical anything. What these guys are doing is something I could never touch.
We're gonna trade places. I'll try to do this.
Although you did touch upon this, I did learn my classic music from Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the Barber of Seville was.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely. So speaking of like where it started, I know obviously here in Orlando we are pretty fond of the name Disney, and a lot of us, in addition to the animated Saturday morning cartoons, really got introduced to the idea of music and animation from classic Disney stories.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna play from one of them right now, one of the earlier ones that was still created when Walt was influencing it. And we're gonna do a tune from the Jungle Book. But I'm curious, the Jungle Book, potentially more than any of the early Disney animation, really leaned into the idea of jazz, those rhythms, that style, the Louis Prima idea in storytelling. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that style of music works so well for that style of animation?
Well, the Jungle Book, if you've ever read the books, they're actually kind of dark. And Walt's intention was really to brighten it up and make it a little bit dark, but also a little bit fun. And around that time in the 1960s, of course, there was such a change of music. Everybody was moving toward blues or jazz or rock and roll and all of that. And the Jungle Book has all of that. It really does. It even has a barbershop quartet. If you remember the Vultures, they did a little barbershop quartet. So it's such a mix of all different melodies, of course. And when you add in the Sherman Brothers, I'm sure that name is recognizable to a lot of you. You know, who did Mary Poppins and Winnie the Pooh and all of these great films. They put their spin on the bare necessities. And when Phil Harris recorded that song, I mean, it was just not only the great Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston who animated that sequence. You know, they added those moves that the actors actually did in the sound booths as they were doing it. They were actually wailing their arms around. And Louis Prima and his band, those are the Monkeys, and they actually, you can actually see big Louis with the trumpet. You know, he's playing. So they actually filmed the band playing that sequence. The animators just took it and said, hey, we'll put that into the Monkeys and have them dance around. And
the big band musicians were actually used as the basis for the animation that they were drawing.
Absolutely, because if it's real in real life, you know, if they can translate that into animation, it just becomes fun for the audience.
That's incredible. Well, we're going to perform a piece called The Bare Necessities. It's a wonderful Sammy Nestico arrangement of The Bare Necessities, and to prove to you that we're really onto something here, that the idea of the characters and the lines and the shape and the animation truly does fit where the music goes. Jason is going to create Bulla from the Jungle Book right over here for you live, right in front of you, while we play The Bare Necessities. Give you a break.
I can do it again.
You're right. No, we get to do this later. Yes. That's pretty fabulous. And if you didn't see on the table on the way in, we'll tell you more about this later. But on the table on the way in, there's a chance drawing today. Fill out a little form, drop it in the basket, and you could go home with one of Jason's pieces of artwork from this concert. So make sure you take advantage of that intermission. Jason, we'll see you in a few minutes. I feel like the screen or your program gives it all away, but that was the Pink Panther. You probably figured that out. And there's a whole generation of people who may not have a connection there. Pink Panther wasn't actually originally animated. They created the animated character kind of as like the credits before and after what was a live action film. The piece was written by Henry Mancini, and there's probably not a better example of somebody who has taken the ideas, the concepts, the structure of jazz and merged it with other more traditional styles of composition, orchestral writing, film scoring, etc., to create really unforgettable things. And even though it's been decades since the Pink Panther first came out, that theme is instantly recognizable. We're gonna move on to a really fun kind of section of the concert. Not that they aren't all fun. But in the mid-90s, a new animation company kind of burst onto the scene. It's now everywhere. It's now a part of Disney. That really took the idea of animation and brought it to a whole new generation using computer technology, still leveraging great artists to create work, but they leveraged the power of computer technology as well. The thing that didn't change, even though the craft of creating the characters and stories did, was the soundtracks that they put with it. Despite all of the progress that Pixar made in its animation style, they still chose composers like Randy Newman, people whose roots are deep in jazz, to create the score for these timeless characters. So we're gonna hit you with a few tunes from the Pixar family, but the first one up is from the very beginning, that first Pixar film, Toy Story. So to present You've Got a Friend in Me, we're gonna welcome to the stage our good friend Ashley Lewis to help us sing this song. I promised you would get to see Jason again.
I have to follow that?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Great.
You're gonna sing for us too, right?
Yeah, we warm up.
Yeah. So, the good news is, what we're about to experience, if you saw at the table, we talked about you have a chance to win a piece of this artwork to take home with you, which is just incredible that Jason is letting us do that. And the character we're about to experience is actually one that was out there on the table that is like readily available. And in the early days of Pixar, you know, they were creating stories with characters and ideas that were really pushing boundaries. And as I said before, they still somehow never strayed from that idea that this art form, no matter how polished and computerized it got, it needed that heart of a jazz score. It still gives it a little whimsy, it gives it a little bit of that kind of improvised, unexpected nature. So we're gonna do a piece from A Bug's Life. Why do you think Randy Newman, Randy he's not the only one like Giacchino, there's lots of other composers that work with Pixar, but why do you think Randy's music specifically works so well for these stories?
Well, if you listen to his songs, they push the story along. And in the early days of Pixar, which you touched upon, when they were doing films, wanting Disney to release them. A funny story that Pete Docter, who now controls Pixar, he always tells the story. It's like Disney gave them a set of guidelines of how they would like to see this film. And then Pixar looked at it and said, well, we're not going to do the Happy Village, we're not going to do the songs in the middle, but they wanted songs to push the story along. So that's why in Toy Story, Friend Like Me, and then Bug's Life, It's a Time in Your Life, Live It Well, all that. Just like Simon and Garfunkel did with a lot of films, like The Graduate, the songs were placed in the movie specifically to push the story along. The characters weren't singing it, but when Buzz Lightyear realizes, sorry, spoiler alert, when Buzz Lightyear realizes that he's not a real spaceman, and you hear that Randy Newman song come right in, it's almost like Randy Newman's like speaking out of Buzz's mind, and it just pushes that story. Buzz doesn't have to say a word. You just hear that music. Oh my life, but that's my impression. And it just continues on from there. So, but that was actually one of the influences Pete Docter mentioned, was seeing Harold and Maude, a very famous film, and using Simon and Garfunkel and Cat Stevens to push the movie along without actually the characters singing the songs.
It's a really neat way of...
Great storytelling.
It's a great way of storytelling, because the idea that so much of animation to that point had been musicals. The characters were singing, the stories were created, there were very specific beat points. As much as we all love the Renaissance, Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, there are very specific points in each film. You meet all the characters, you have the crisis, you have the moment where the female lead sings about what they wish they had. Like, all of those very predictable points. And then Pixar said, no, that's not the way we're gonna tell the stories, but this music is still gonna be propelling the ideas forward. So we're gonna play a piece, it's not really a song, it never had words to it, it's just a piece of the score from A Bug's Life that kind of underscores the neat, creative, frenetic energy of the ant colony and of Flick, the hero in the story, as he's trying to create things to save the day. If you haven't seen A Bug's Life, or if you haven't checked it out in a while, I encourage you to go back and watch it. It is delightful, and it is charming, and it's such just a simple, pleasant story, and again, the music in it is really remarkable. So we are going to play a piece called The Flick Machine, and you are going to create Flick for us, yeah?
Like a machine.
Like a machine, there you go, just like that. One, two, three. it is. That was Kristen on the trumpet solo there. It was a race to the finish line that time. At the evening show, we're going to take the tempo faster and see if he can still make it. So come back for that, it'll be fun. Jason, thank you so much. After intermission, we're going to have you back out. We're going to do a little bit more of this, if you don't mind.
Again?
Again. I know, it's fabulous.
I'm getting my steps in. This is great.
And as I said, if you want a chance to take home one of Jason's drawings from this experience, make sure you stop out at intermission and fill out that form. And obviously that was music from The Incredibles, because when you think of Pixar and jazz, that's what you come up with. When they wanted to kind of meld the perfect style, they took Mission Impossible. They took like the classic spy theme, and they took the big band flavor, merged it together, and created a soundtrack for a really spectacular film. So that was a little tour through a bit of Pixar. We got one chart left before we take our brief break. So again, there'll be a 20-minute intermission. Pop out in the lobby, grab some refreshments, check out Jason's art, learn more about CFCArts. Welcome to talk to any of the staff that are out there in the lobby to learn more about how you can get involved. And then make sure you are right back in here, because we have a lot of incredible music and incredible art still in store for you in the second half of the concert. The last piece we're going to play before you leave is a barn burner. It's a really fun chart, and it's a neat concept. Sometimes jazz and animation paired together perfectly, and then sometimes jazz musicians come along after the fact and go, you know that song that I loved? I bet you I can put that in my own style. We could do something fun with it. So in the mid-90s, and then again recently, and then probably again in another decade or so, Disney made a smash hit called The Lion King. And in that tune, one of the really fun, creative, vibrant moments is when young Simba, full of pride, is singing all about how he just can't wait to be the king. There's neat instrumentation, there's fun rhythms, there's a lot of style in there. And then a recent composer by the name of Goodwin came along and said, I could turn that into a big band chart. And he takes I Just Can't Wait to Be King, matches it up with like 1940s Duke Ellington, and then for the fun of it throws in a little bit of like mid-90s ska band kind of feel. Like it's a neat combination. So we're gonna end the first half of the concert with our really energetic, fun take on, from The Lion King, I Just Can't Wait to Be King. CFCArts Big Band. We'll be back in 20 minutes. If you don't know that chart, that was a song called Into the Unknown from Frozen 2, but done in a pretty aggressive contemporary rock style. And it's fun. We should have had you draw something for that.
It was awesome.
It was all good. You could hear us from back there.
It's a great idea.
That's good. It's almost like we have an artist in the house. We should, there you go. So speaking of Frozen, the next tune that we're gonna play is from the original Frozen. I feel like this happens frequently with Disney. The movies that they prepare to be hits, that they think are going to be hits, are always great. And then there's these surprises that they're not really sure, and then they just catch on. And I don't know how many of you remember when Frozen came out, like it took over. Well, don't worry, we're not playing Let It Go. I need to say that part out loud, sorry. And somehow, despite all of the incredible storytelling in there, there was one delightful character in that film that just captured hearts worldwide. Olaf, yes, I heard somebody say that, that's good, Olaf. Yes, so, Josh Gad's voice obviously has a lot to do with it, but the animators made some pretty intentional, unique style choices with Olaf. The look, the carrot. He has teeth for some reason, as a snowman, I'm not quite sure. but the playful, creative personality just oozes in the animation. Why do you think I mean, out of all of the shapes you could have made a snowman, why do you think they chose that look for something, for a character with that personality?
Well, from what I understand, Olaf really didn't get past the sketch phase until Josh Gad came in. And this happens a lot. This happened way even in the early days of animation where they would bring the actors in and during the voice recordings they would videotape them, and sometimes the character can like literally change just from there. And because the animator sometimes would...
They gotta go back and start over basically?
Well, again, just during the concept phase. Yeah. And when they start, because when you start to hear a voice, you're like, that's not the voice coming from that sketch. This is the sketch that has that voice. And Josh Gad had a lot of input into the character, even the way he sings the song. He was on Broadway, the Book of Mormon, and they added a lot of, especially the end of that song, "It's summer," you know, they added that because of his grand, thank you. We actually saw it at Dina Menzel.
Somewhere. This is good. That's great.
We actually saw it at Dina Menzel. It wasn't in this theater, it was the other theater. Anyway, so yeah, that's happened a lot, and sometimes the actors can even change. I mean, any Hercules fans? Hercules? Oh, big time. Yeah, well, they originally wanted Jack Nicholson for Hades, but he was unavailable, right? I think it could have worked. I mean, the underworld, you got the eyebrows, the whole thing. But he was unavailable, and James Woods was looked at as well. And of course, the character completely changed from the eyebrows to the head to the way he stood to being like a fast-talking salesman. Hey, how are you, Hercules? Good to see you. Good to meet you. So completely changed. Sometimes even the actors would pass away. They would change the character. Because the animation process takes about 4 years to do, even in computer animation. So a lot of things can happen, and developments have to change and all of that. But Josh Gad had a major input in Olaf, and he really represents pureness and love of the two children together. And of course, because he was originally supposed to be one of Elsa's guards, and it turned into a snowman because they really, thank you, and he wanted that. Was that me?
Oscars playoff. So don't worry, that's not you. It's fine.
So yeah, so Olaf really represents the innocence, the purity, and the love the two children had together, and eventually they found it.
And in his songs, in the songs that he sings, that innocence and that purity, it exists. The lyrics are just delightful. The music has this kind of simple purity to it, but it also leans a bit into, like you said, Josh Gad's Broadway experience. It has some of that Broadway color, but it also has that just happy, optimistic, sort of laid-back shuffle feel to it. So we're gonna perform Olaf's big hit from the first Frozen, In Summer, and you're gonna do us a favor and sketch us Olaf while we're playing, right?
Full body this time. Thank you. You can't just do his head. You got to do the whole thing.
You got to do the whole thing.
Got to do the whole thing.
All the personality.
It's a good thing he's a snowman. So.
And again, in addition to just being delighted by Jason and his talent and the band and the music, this is a great character just to sort of see come alive right in front of you, and to see how close that relationship between this style of music and this style of art and why they just fit. So enjoy Olaf and In Summer.
My feet go.
top, the whole deal. It's fabulous.
One of my favorite parts of that song is Olaf does a little tribute to Bert from Mary Poppins. He dances with some seagulls in the same exact way, so a little tribute with her. So.
There you go. We love that musical reference. You got one more in store for us later? You're gonna come back? One more time. We'll see Jason again in a few minutes. We know, and it doesn't seem like it has bothered you, but we know we've played a lot of Disney hits today, a lot of familiar Disney tunes in this concert. We want to make sure that you know that this isn't a uniquely Disney phenomenon. The idea of jazz and animation exists around the world in a lot of different genres and a lot of different places. So the next 3 charts that we have for you are going to kind of explore this from some non-Disney animators. One of the pieces is called Linus and Lucy. It is from the Peanuts, the Charlie Brown movies that many of us grew up with. It is the holiday tradition in our house. And Vince Guaraldi, famous jazz pianist, has written for all of those Peanuts films. We're going to give you a little bit of Linus and Lucy. After that, we're going to explore the pure, kinetic, fun energy of The Simpsons, which is also a jazz score. I mean, they made Lisa a Barry sax player, for crying out loud. Like, you gotta have jazz in that. So we got that coming up as well. But before we do that, we're gonna play a piece that maybe not everybody in the room is familiar with. It's actually from a Japanese anime show and phenomenon called Cowboy Bebop. All right. Yeah! This is good. We got a couple. This is fantastic. So this track is called Tank. It's the opening credits to Cowboy Bebop. So I'm just showing you that even in the anime, the Japanese anime style, the idea of jazz, rock, this really unique energy and color just somehow makes it all pop. So enjoy some hits from some non-Disney animated hits. Back there, this is Zach on guitar, and that was Jeremy keeping down on the drums. And with one of the most famous piano parts in animated jazz, that's Leslie on the keys.
Oh!
producer today. That's Eddie on the very sax. We mentioned this earlier with I Just Can't Wait to Be King at the end of the first half, that sometimes composers, songwriters, musicians come along after the songs become famous and they go, boy, it'd be really fun to reimagine that. What if we did that in our own style? What if we took that in a whole new direction? And possibly the most famous ballad of all of the, last, I don't know, 30, what are we back, 40 years now of Disney animation is probably Beauty and the Beast, the title song from that animated film. Goodwin, the same big band jazz composer that did I Just Can't Wait to Be King, came along and said, what would that sound like? What would it feel like if Beauty and the Beast wasn't set in a palace in France with oddly British accented performers, and said, what if it was like 1930s Harlem, and you had like Count Basie, Count Basie orchestra, upright bass, and a really deep feel. What if we turned this into a jazz ballad instead of just a Broadway score? And so what he did with this chart is just absolutely cool. It may not have been the definition of jazz when it was written, but I'm pretty sure I'd like to see this version of Beauty and the Beast take place. So enjoy our take on the classic Beauty and the Beast. tenor sax solo. We're making the whole rhythm section run today. This is good. They're getting their steps in. If you haven't been paying attention, this is a show in and of itself. Revolving door of guitar players, you just never know who's going to come out from behind the curtain. It's great. If Beauty and the Beast is not your style, if you are younger in the audience and you're like, I don't remember when that one came out, you're going to remember when this one came out, because when the mysterious family member in the movie Encanto needed a song to sort of capture the style, the energy, the place, and the mystery, they leaned into the Latin-infused jazz style. So even though I wasn't supposed to talk about him, this is We Don't Talk About Bruno. one tune left for you before we let you go. I thank you for being disappointed. That's a way better reaction than like, it's about time, man. I got dinner reservations. We are so glad that you chose to be with us today, and we really hope that we see you again. We hope that you check out everything that CFCArts has to offer this community. Performances are a huge part of what we do. We love being able to create community between an audience and an ensemble in this way, but like I said earlier, it is only one small part. There's so much more great work being done in our community, so please check us out at CFCArts.com to get all of the details. And since we know you're having such a good time today, we did want to make sure you didn't leave without knowing about three things, three upcoming opportunities to hear and see more from the remarkable musicians and singers and actors that are a part of our community. So coming up in just a couple months, in September, we're going to put the most spectacular production of Beauty and the Beast on stage. It'll be at Northland Church up in Longwood. 150 voice choir, almost a 50-piece orchestra, actors, dancers, singers, members of our upbeat theater troupe, and our narrators, acting troupe. We're going to be bringing every element of our community together to tell this timeless story. We really hope that we see you there the first week of September. CFCArts.com/beauty is where you can get all of those details. Because we know you successfully navigated your way downtown today and found the Dr. Phillips Center, thank you for coming. We want to make sure you know that you can come right back here to the Dr. Phillips Center and see CFCArts again this year. Our 215, who knows what will be by then, 200 plus member orchestra is going to be right next door in Steinmetz Hall this November, presenting a concert we call Symphonic Disney. So if you've enjoyed the Disney hits today, wait till you hear them in that hall with a 200-piece orchestra. It's going to be an incredible experience. We sold out that room twice last fall with our classical rock concerts with that orchestra, so we know this concert is going to sell as well. CFCArts.com/Disney. You're going to want to grab those seats pretty soon to make sure you can be in the room with us in November. And for these guys, this incredible band today is going to be back on this very stage in this room in October. Tickets aren't on sale yet, but we have a really fun Halloween-themed concert for you called Ghoulish Grooves. Everything from Monster Mash and Purple People Eater to Thriller and the Ghostbusters and the Munsters and the Addams Family and so much more. It's going to be a really good time, and we hope to see you back here. If you check out our website, CFCArts.com/events, you'll be able to find Ghoulish Grooves on our website. The tickets aren't on sale, but you can click a link on there. Give us your email address and you will be notified the moment those seats go on sale, so you can make sure that you are right back here with us this October for an incredible concert. So we want to see you again, but we cannot leave today without making sure that we say thank you. This would not be possible without the incredible work and partnership that we've found here at the Dr. Phillips Center. And everything that you're seeing and hearing today, we rehearsed once, yesterday, with the crew. Last night, the video, the lighting, the audio, everything. So Juan and Corey and Patrick and Jason and Kyle and Cindy and the entire team from both CFCArts and the Dr. Phillips Center, thank you for making us look and sound so good. We promised you more Jason before you leave. He's back. So we got one tune left, and we felt the most fitting way to end a concert of animation and jazz was to present the song made famous by quite possibly the most improvisational character that we've seen Disney create. So talk to us a little bit, because I know he's your favorite. Originally we weren't going to let Jason do this part, and then he begged.
That's true.
And I'm a softie. So the genie from Aladdin, what makes you love him so much?
What's not to love? I mean, the character was basically written for the late, and it's hard, still to this day, it's hard to say late, great Robin Williams. And Eric Goldberg, who was the supervising animator for this character, basically created the character. I've been a big fan of his really since art school. He worked on Phil and Hercules. He was one of the directors of Pocahontas. And when they gave him the task of the genie, he wanted to do it in the style of Al Hirschfeld. And basically he's the king of the Broadway caricaturist. And I mean, his art has graced the pages of Time magazine, Broadway magazine, Life magazine. And he lived to be 100 years old, and he became very good friends with Eric Goldberg and kind of served as a supervising teacher, mentor for this character. And Eric designed the line work of the genie around Hirschfeld's the lines that he did, because the way the genie moves, just like Robin speaks. And having Robin in the booth doing his lines, and if for those of you who don't know this, but most of those lines were improvised. And probably one of the funniest stories that Eric likes to tell is that in one of the scenes, Robin did this scene with Aladdin where he is promised that when Aladdin would use one of his last wishes to free the genie. And Robin Williams in the booth said, "Oh yeah, whatever," like that. Well, everybody in the room didn't know what that meant, but Eric Goldberg did. So he went to the director and said, "Can I put that in there?" And they said, "What is that? We don't know what that is." He's like, "Well, he's imitating Pinocchio, saying he's lying." And Disney's like, "Well, we own the character."
We're not going to sue ourselves.
So the reason you see the genie transform into the head of Pinocchio for that split second is because of Eric Goldberg saying, "We have to put that in." So Al Hirschfeld, Robin Williams, and Eric Goldberg, who still works for the company, still does a lot of animation. He's done a couple of Mickey shorts. Get a Horse was one that was released not too long ago. Just putting those three powerhouses together created this character. So I don't think anybody could have taken this character to heights the way Robin Williams did.
No, it was the perfect combination. There's no question about that. The voice, the history, the art, the shape of the genie, the lines are so incredible, but it really drives home the point. Jazz is often known for its unexpected turns, its improvisation. That's what makes jazz musicians so much fun to go see live, and to know that that can happen in the 4-year process of animating a film, that a character, an actor can bring that sense of improvisation and they can respond to it and create something absolutely magical. So we're going to give a lot of our members a chance to improvise for you as well. We're going to close with Friend Like Me from Aladdin. And a little note, just to make sure that you go home feeling really proud of yourselves. There were several charts in the concert. This is one that was written specifically for this band by a local jazz musician and composer-songwriter named Julian. So you're hearing our version of this today. It's never been performed anywhere else, so world premiere. Friend Like Me by the CFCArts Big Band featuring Vincent. We are so glad you came. We hope you had a great time. We are the CFCArts Big Band. Please come back and see us again. Have a great night.